Sorry. We will call this informal committee hearing for the post-commission to order. I'd like to remind everybody in the audience that while this meeting is a public meeting where the public can attend, the public is not permitted, nor is the media permitted to participate in the proceeding. The only people that can participate in this proceeding are the people that are on the agenda, the post-commission and the departments and the officers that are involved. We are going to, if it's all right with our informal committee here, to take things out of order to try to help clear off our podium. We are going to take the Memphis Police Department matters first. They've got a pretty lengthy drive back anyway to Memphis. So we're going to take the Memphis matters first. We're going to take the Collierville Police Department second, Laverne Police Department third, and then the two Department of Safety matters after that. So we'll begin with the Memphis Police Department and, let's see, Demetrius J. Haley. Mr. Haley was submitted for decertification based on his termination for violating department policy. We are showing that Mr. Haley was served. We have representatives from the Memphis Police Department. Do we have Mr. Haley here? We do not. Go ahead.
Good afternoon.
And if you could identify yourself by stating your name and spelling it.
I'm Major Constance Cage, C-O-N-S-T-A-N-C-E. Last name Cage, C-A-G-E.
Good afternoon. Monique Williams, spelling on the last name W-I-L-L-I-A-M-S.
Y'all can just identify yourselves one at a time and then speak, and whoever's going to speak, just identify yourself and spell your name for the record.
Sharon Cunningham, first name S-H-A-R-O-N, Cunningham, C-U-N-N-I-N-G-H-A-M.
Good afternoon. I come as a representative with the Memphis Police Department Inspectional Services Bureau, Internal Affairs. In the matter of Demetrius J. Haley, we are requesting to proceed with the decertification request that involved the internal investigation by the Memphis Police Department that was launched on January 7th of 2023, involving the actions of Demetrius Haley with his involvement with 29-year-old Tyree Nichols in Shelby County, Memphis, Tennessee. At the conclusion of the internal affairs investigation, Demetrius Haley was found to be in violation of personal conduct, truthfulness, neglect of duty, excessive unnecessary force, compliance with regulations with a body-worn camera, and information concerning police business. As a result of the administrative hearing, the sustained violations ended in termination on January 20th of 2023.
Thank you very much. Any questions for the commission? From the commission, rather? Thank you very much. Have more?
That's it for Demetrius Haley, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Haley is not in attendance. From what I understand, and we can defer to either, I believe, either Assistant Director Bello or legal, his attorneys have been in contact with the commission staff and requested this be placed in a pending status, but they were told to appear today to make that request in person to the commission. So before you all decide or make your determination for the full commission hearing tomorrow, just take that under advisement. So they are aware of the hearing, properly served, and we're told to be here today.
Commissioner Wright, I'll make a motion for default certification based on violation that Memphis Police Department laid out.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motions for a default order. That'll be in front of the commission tomorrow. Moving on to the matter of the Memphis Police Department and Emmett Martin. Mr. Martin was submitted for decertification based on his termination for violating department policy. And if you could, I know it's repetitive, but identify yourself. You don't have to spell your name this time, but just identify yourself for the record.
Lieutenant Monique Williams.
Go ahead.
On the matter of Emmett Martin, the Memphis Police Department would respectfully request to proceed with the decertification request. As a result of the internal investigation that was launched on January 7, 2023, involving Emmett Martin, he was found at the conclusion of that internal investigation to be in violation of personal conduct, truthfulness, neglect of duty, excessive, unnecessary force, compliance with regulation to with body-worn camera, and duty to intervene and reporting improper conduct. The administrative hearing was held on January 20, 2023, where the sustained violations resulted in termination.
Thank you very much. Any questions from the commissioners? Mr. Martin in attendance today. Mr. Bello, can you give an overview to the commission on your communications with the attorneys for Mr. Martin as well?
Yes, Director. Mr. Martin's attorney also reached out and requested that this be placed in the pending status, and they were also asked to make an appearance and request that in person.
Commissioner Wright, I make a motion for default certification based upon violations that Memphis Police Department laid out.
Second.
We have a motion for the default order and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? Hearing none. Motion passes. Moving on to the matter of the Memphis Police Department and Desmond A. Mills. Mr. Mills was submitted for decertification based on his termination for violating department policy. And again, if you would state your name.
Lieutenant Monique Williams. As a result of the administrative investigation by the Memphis Police Department Internal Affairs Bureau that was launched on January 7, 2023, Desmond Mills Jr. was found to be in violation of multiple Memphis Police Department policies and regulations to include personal conduct, neglect of duty, excessive, unnecessary force, and duty to intervene in reporting improper conduct, and also compliance with regulation to with body-worn camera. The administrative hearing was held on January 20th, 2023, and as a result of that hearing, Desmond Mills Jr. was found to be in violation and was terminated.
Actually, we've got an order of surrender that's going to be taken up tomorrow for him in front of the commission, so thank you very much. All right, moving on. Memphis Police Department, the matter of Justin L. Smith. Mr. Smith was submitted for decertification based on his termination for violating department policy.
Good afternoon, Lieutenant Monique Williams. In the matter of the administrative investigation that was conducted by the Memphis Police Department Inspectional Services Bureau, involving Justin L. Smith, at the conclusion of the internal investigation, Justin Smith was found to be in violation of personal conduct, neglect of duty, excessive, unnecessary force, compliance with regulations to wit body-worn camera, and duty to intervene and reporting improper conduct. The administrative investigation was held on January 20th, 2023, and as a result, Justin L. Smith was found in violation of the sustained disciplinary actions was taken, and he was terminated.
Thank you very much. Any questions from the commission? Same thing for Mr. Smith. He's requested that this be placed in a pending status. His attorneys, his counsel was told they needed to be here today for this meeting to request that in person.
Commissioner Wright, I make a motion for default decertification based upon violation of policy and procedures laid out by Memphis Police Department.
Second.
We have a motion for default order and a second. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? All right, matter passes.
Director, if I may, just
Yes.
for point of clarification.
Yes. Yes. Default order for termination for disciplinary reasons, yes. All right, Memphis Police Department, in the matter of Dwayne M. Smith, the Memphis Police Department requested to address the commission concerning the decertification request of Dwayne M. Smith. And if you could, I know you've already identified yourself, but if you could, one more time for the record, please.
Good morning. My name is Colonel Sharon Cunningham, and on behalf in the matter of Dwayne Smith, his administrative hearing was held January 27th, 2023. So we're requesting to actually move forward with the decertification request for former MPD Lieutenant Dwayne Smith. There was an internal inquiry as it relates to the department's ability to decertify an officer who retires prior to being terminated. So consequently, the Memphis Police Department wanted to delay the hearing for the former MPD Lieutenant Dwayne Smith to further ensure that our intent to decertify him was permissible. However, internally, the request to delay the hearing until additional clarification was obtained was misunderstood. So we're requesting to have Mr. Smith's decertification placed back on the agenda for review.
Thank you very much. So just to make certain, we don't need any action on this, correct? We can just add this to the agenda, or do we need to take a kind of vote on that? He's not been served yet. Okay. All right. Well,
If he did not receive notice, he can't be placed on the agenda.
if you would clarify the grounds that you are requesting decertification for this
Yes, sir,
subject.
absolutely. So an administrative hearing was held by the Inspectional Services Bureau on January 27th of 2023, and with the following violations and charges: Departmental Rule 120 for neglect of duty, Departmental Rule 607, unauthorized public statements, and DR 101, compliance with regulations to wit body-worn camera.
Well, thank you very much. We will proceed forward with attempting to get him served, and we'll get him on the agenda as soon as we can get that done.
Thank you.
All right. If the members of the media from Memphis want to remove your microphones, you can do so now. Okay. We'll move on to the matter of the Collierville Police Department. And Ashton R. Smith. Mr. Smith was submitted for decertification based on his termination for violating department policy. It appears we have a representative from the Collierville Police Department present. Do we have Mr. Smith? Okay, thank you, sir. All right, if you would, for the record, state your name and spell it, and then proceed with your case for decertification.
My name is Lieutenant Josh Wheeler with the Collierville Police Department. I'm the training coordinator in GDI for the department. Last name spelling W-H-E-E-L-E-R. All right, in the matter of the internal departmental hearing that was held on August 22nd, 2022, Ashton Smith was found to be in violation of the town policy for failure to report an accident, the town policy for operating a town vehicle with a wanton disregard for the safety of others, the rules of conduct for untruthfulness, the falsification of records, and damage and abuse of property, and reporting for time on duty. The outcome of the internal investigation was termination of his employment, and the Collierville Police Department would like to seek decertification.
Thank you. Any questions from the commission? Hearing none, thank you very much. We need you again. We'll call you back up here. Mr. Smith? Would state your name.
Ashton Smith, A-S-H-S-T-O-N, S-M-I-T-H.
Go ahead, sir.
The incident in which I was terminated for, the failure to report an accident, for me, I did not know that that was considered an accident by bumping a curve. The fabrication of the records, due to the fact that my log sheet times didn't match up with my camera times or where I was, because I did fill that out after the fact, and I did estimate some times on there. The untruthfulness, I wouldn't put my post and being a police officer at risk to lie about a crash, honestly. I did go back the night of the incident. I admitted to my command staff I was tired. I was dealing with some personal issues that I did not disclose to them. And I was tired that night, and when the impact occurred, I did not at the time realize that I had struck a curb. My lieutenant at the time went back, we talked, he pulled my in-car footage, and it was viewed and it was deemed that I did strike a curb. In the report, it was stated that I knew that the vehicle was damaged, but the lieutenant, I did not know that at the time, and the lieutenant at the time admitted also during my hearing that until that tire came off the car, he was unaware that the tire was damaged as well, or the rim was damaged. I apologize. The rim was damaged. Again, there is nothing that I would do to put this in jeopardy, especially lie about striking a curb. I was tired. I admitted that to them, and I'm not saying that it didn't happen, because it did. I'm just saying that when I told them at the time that I did not know what I had struck, I was being truthful with them. And then, of course, we watched the video. We found, observed the vehicle hitting the curb, but there was no malice or malintent with what I told them. I love being an officer. I worked very hard to get here, and I just don't want it taken away for this. I'm not saying everything is right, but this is not where I want to be. I want to be back on the street, being a police officer again. And this is not this isn't a judgment of my character. This isn't who I am.
Any questions from the commission?
Mr. Isbell. With a question in the report, I want to make sure I'm reading this correctly. You exited the vehicle and inspected your vehicle.
When I exited the vehicle, the low tire light, low tire pressure light came on. I did get out of the vehicle, and I looked down to see if anything was sticking out from the tire, but I did not, actually, put eyes on the entire rim. I looked out. I had the wheel turned. I looked at the tire. I saw it was going flat, and at that time, I did not know that there was damage to the rim. No. So at that time, I got back in my vehicle and I started driving because we don't keep spares in the vehicle. I was headed back to headquarters when I realized that the vehicle wouldn't make it, and that's when I pulled over in front of Bonefish.
Commissioner Wright, I have a few. Mr. Smith, I'm trying to figure out what the motive would have been for lying to Lieutenant Weaver when he asked if you'd hit a curb, right?
Yes, sir.
One of the first things he initially had asked you, it says that, going back and reviewing it, that you hit a curb. When you struck the curb, you were at a speed of 23 miles an hour, according to the camera. I find it hard to believe that you could hit a curb at 23 and not realize that you had hit something, and followed by having a flat tire, and then when being asked by your lieutenant, just blatantly come out and say you didn't run over anything.
I told him that I was unaware of what I struck, and that was written. I did make a written statement to him, and that I did put that in the written statement, that I was unaware of what was struck.
I have one additional question. Why the big delay in time from the time that it occurred until the time of notifying supervisors?
Yes, sir. When I realized that the tire was flat and I would not make it back to headquarters, I got on my cellular device and called several other officers to try to go to headquarters to bring a tire and a jack to me, because that's where they are. And at that time, that took a little bit of time to get. It wasn't to hide anything, and I did text my lieutenant and let him know I have a flat tire, this is where I am, and he told me that he would be on the way. The delay was just to locate a officer to bring me a tire and a jack, but not to hide it, not to try to cover anything up, because I did text him.
Would your supervisor not have been, if you cannot get a hold of another officer to do that, would getting a hold of the supervisor or dispatch not?
Right, I was speaking with an officer, and he advised me he would go pick it up. But yes, sir, I most definitely would have gone to my supervisor if I was unable to get an officer to bring me anything. But again, the delay wasn't due to me trying to hide it from him. I really was just trying to get this thing fixed, but I did most definitely let him know once I had an officer en route. That's what the text message said. I told him the officer I had en route. He said, okay, that's fine. I'm on the way from the gas station.
No further questions.
Anybody else?
I do, this Commissioner Wright, I do have a couple more back for the department. If
Sure, okay.
nobody else has anything for them.
Anything else for Mr. Smith? Sir, if you would just have a seat back in the gallery.
Yes,
Representative of the Collierville Department, is that, do you want the same person that was up before?
Anybody that can speak to their procedures, policy and procedures.
Sir, if you would identify yourself for the record.
Yes, sir. Captain Chris Rossi, R-O-S-S-I-E.
Captain, can you tell us what the standard procedure would be for anybody that had a flat tire, regardless of why their tire went flat, for your department?
It would be immediate notification to the supervisor.
Do you have any reason on why a motive would have been not to do that?
It appears that, based on the initial statement to Lieutenant Weaver that night, that he initially denied hitting anything, as he did up here, and then he went back and said, well, I didn't know what I hit. So it appeared to be a cover-up of the damaged rim in that situation.
Believing that maybe he was going to get in trouble for
Possibly.
that. Was there, if it had been considered a crash with y'all's policy and procedures, what else would have took place then? Would it be
The damaged rim?
for a damaged rim? I don't know if y'all like do drug testing anytime.
No, sir, we do not.
Anything of that nature?
We do random drug testing throughout the year, but not as a result of a minor crash. It would have to be significant injuries or something of that nature. I don't know if he's aware of that or was aware of that at the time. But Lieutenant Weaver, when he submitted the memo to me, I was the shift commander at the time, he also told me that he pled with him several times to tell him, hey, you're just going to get basically counseled, and it'll be a teachable moment. And that's when he said he didn't remember hitting anything and had retraced his steps, and the story slightly changed again.
Thank you, Captain.
Commissioner Isbell, question for the captain, sir. Just for benefit of the commission, and I think I know the answer to this, the Collierville Police Department is an internationally accredited department and state accredited department, correct?
So that's correct.
Policies and procedures, all policies within the department that are issued out to the department members, all the officers, they sign off on these policies and procedures, and you keep copies of that, correct?
We do it in Power DMS now, but
Okay.
electronically, yes, they're signed off on.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions from the commission to any of the participants? Again, I'll remind we can make a motion to refer this to the full commission. You can make a motion to decertify, at which point if the informal committee agrees to that and the commission tomorrow approves that, when we read it into the record, then the person would be notified, and he would have, I believe it's 30 days to request a formal hearing in front of the entire commission, or you can make a motion to dismiss.
Commissioner Wright, for discussion, what I'm struggling with is obviously the truthfulness and what the motive would have been behind it. It just seems like there had to be some kind of motive to be lying about, not to be forthcoming with what happened anyway.
I guess my mic is working. Good. Just to kind of join in with what Commissioner Wright is saying, reading through this report, it appears to me that more than just one instance of there was other instances of driving tired or falling asleep or whatever it was, and maybe that's part of the reason why he kind of avoided the truth. And it interests me that in spite of whatever bad driving there might have been, or whatever relatively minor damage there may have been to the vehicle, the big issue here isn't the damage to the vehicle or even the bad driving. It's the credibility and the failure to own up to what happened. I think all of us have an automatic tendency when trouble is on the horizon to try to get out of the way, and sometimes people avoid the truth to avoid the storm, and I think that's what happened. Unfortunately, I think it's a sad situation. Motion to do.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion to decertify from Commissioner Cherry, second by Commissioner Isbell. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Motion passes. All right, sir, you have 30 days to request a hearing in front of the full commission if you wish. All right, we were going to take Laverne Police Department and Henry McGowan next. However, for those of you that don't know, we typically hold these meetings or have held these meetings in the past at the actual post-commission building. That's where he went, so he is actually en route here. So we're going to continue on with the agenda, and we are going to go next to the Tennessee Department of Safety and Albert L. Smith III. Mr. Smith was submitted for decertification based on his termination for violating general orders. Do we have a representative from the Tennessee Department of Safety?
Sergeant Harold Stewart, Department of Safety. Last name spelled S-T-E-W-A-R-T.
You may proceed, sir.
Thank you. So on November the 10th, our office became aware that Mr. Albert Smith was involved or was alleged to have sexually assaulted a woman at an Exxon gas station down in the Shelby County area. I interviewed Ms. Hall, the complainant in this, and gathered her initial information about what occurred. We brought Mr. Smith in for an interview, and when we spoke with Mr. Smith, I gave him the floor and gave him an opportunity to tell his story, exactly what happened. I showed him the surveillance video to see if he recalled who the complainant was and what was going on, because the complainant had some credibility issues as well concerning whether or not they knew each other. When he saw the video, saw Miss Hall in the video, he knew exactly who she was by name and knew the incident. So at that point, I gave him the floor and said, "Go ahead and tell me what happened." And when he began, the first thing he said was, "Well, what did she say?" I did. You know, for me, it was a very deflective answer, trying to figure out exactly what the allegation was. And I said, "Well, this is your opportunity to tell us what happened so we can see if there's going to be any credibility issues with what she was saying to what his account was." When he told us the story, it was very vague, washed over, and we began to, insert details saying, "Okay, tell us about the fact that you could smell an odor of marijuana around Miss Hall." And then he was like, "Yeah, I could smell an odor of marijuana." Mr. Smith took absolutely zero action whatsoever on it because he said, "Well, it's Nisha," which is Miss Hall's first name. And subsequently, what happened was they ended up leaving the gas station. He left first. Miss Hall followed him, and they parked on a side road illegally out in the middle of the street, where they engaged in Miss Hall. It was alleged that Mr. Smith removed her pants. Mr. Smith says that he didn't remove her pants, that she removed her own pants because she wanted to show him her butt. And they hugged each other, kissed each other while at the gas station. Mr. Smith, who is married and Miss Hall is not his wife, began to reach around and rub his penis through the outside of his uniform pants. This all happened out in the middle of the street behind a Starbucks, which was open at the time based on Mr. Smith's testimony. Mr. Smith also said he did not utilize his departmental camera during any of this because it wasn't an official stop, even though he did have probable cause based on the odor of marijuana to conduct a traffic stop. Trooper Smith, or Mr. Smith, did tell Miss Hall when she was outside of the vehicle, "Hey, dang girl, you look fine." It says, "Dang girl, you look good. Put your hands on the car. Let me search you." And that was just prior to the exposure of the buttocks and the rubbing on his genitalia. So based on this, he was recommended for termination for improper touching, conformance to laws for being illegally parked, his unbecoming conduct, and being untruthful with the evasiveness. Additionally, 5 days after we received this complaint, we had another complaint that came into our office in which he was unprofessional at a restaurant down in Mason, Tennessee. With that case, he left his assigned post about 30 to 45 minutes early to go to a restaurant and meet his wife there, where he got into a confrontation in uniform at this restaurant with the cook because his food was not proper. His fries were cold and his drink wasn't right.
Any questions from the commissioners?
I've got just a couple. How much of this encounter between officers or Trooper Smith and Miss Hall?
Yes, sir.
And then later they moved.
So at the gas station, what you see from the surveillance video is you can see Trooper Smith kind of towards the right side of the screen, and Miss Hall pulls up over to the left side of the screen where it's showing the pumps. And the only real interactions you see there is you see what appears to be them hugging, speaking to each other. It doesn't appear in any way that Mr. Smith was keeping her from leaving, blocking the door. At one point in the video, it does appear that Mr. Smith leans into her car, at which point it appears that he gives her a kiss.
I think she had alleged that at some point he'd pulled his car up next to hers and basically made it where she couldn't get
Yes,
in.
sir.
So that's not supported by the video.
That is not supported, no, sir.
Okay.
No, sir. You can see that Mr. Smith closes his door, doesn't impede her from leaving, even to the point when Mr. Smith goes and fills up his patrol unit, he actually walks to the other side of his vehicle, and she follows him over there to continue the conversation. So it's not supported that he blocked her, kept her from leaving in any way. When they left the gas station, you actually observe Mr. Smith leave the gas station first, depart from the camera view first, and Miss Hall follows him out of the gas station.
As far as that secondary encounter that was out of the view of the cameras, and
No, sir.
where they said, you don't say any of that.
None of that is observed in any of the cameras, no,
And
sir.
Hall claims that pulled her pants.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Both agree that there was some fondling or
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
not really. He said part of the.
Yes, sir. What she alleges is that he was pressuring her for sexual intercourse, and she told him that she was on her menstrual cycle. And, you know, as an investigator, the only way that conversation is going to come up for two people that have never met before is going to be in some sort of sexual advance of some kind. So her story about them not meeting before and it getting to that point seemed real weak to me. Yes, sir.
There was some reason that they had. That's something that both.
It's something that Mr. Smith said during his interview. I don't recall if she said that.
So there was something that, in his mind, this ongoing kind of thing.
Yes, sir. And from what Mr. Smith said, they'd known each other for about 2 years prior to him getting into law enforcement. They worked at the same bar together where he was working, I believe, security. She was a bartender. So, yes, sir.
Only other thing, he was a probationary employee at this time.
Yes, sir.
How long had he been on the force?
He was hired in on April 24th of 22. And then the sustained date on this was December the 20th of 22. So less than a year. Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions from the commission? Mr. Smith, you would please approach, state your name, and address the commission.
Albert Smith. Second part.
You can address the commission.
Albert Smith. Pretty much just a long story, but I'll try to make it short.
Can you move your mic down?
Oh,
Speak.
sure.
Thank you.
Can you hear me? Okay, pretty much just a long story, but I'll make it short. This young lady knows me. She knew me before my marriage or whatever. However, we seen each other again at the gas station, and she goes to say, "So you're a trooper now?" And I'm like, "Yes." She was kind of disappointed that I stopped talking to her due to the fact she found out I was getting engaged or married or whatever. Long story short, she started talking to me. We started talking as well. And she was trying to persuade me to have sexual intercourse. And I was like, no. Like the investigator said, I told her, no, we can meet up another day, but not on duty. I take my job very seriously. However, she was very, 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 very adamant about doing it. Like the investigator said again, she kind of was pushing herself on me, and I was pushing myself away from her, and to throw her off. That's why I said, hey, let's, we can meet up another day. Second thing is, she started telling the investigator that she never knew me. Well, I've been investigated through internal affairs, and I've been investigated through the county in Shelby County. Shelby County have investigated me, and there's nothing that came up with that as well. They have followed up with places that we previously worked together when she told them that was her first encounter meeting me. So like the investigator said, her story was kind of weak. I feel like I was at the right place, but it was at the wrong time due to the fact of the things that occurred. I take my job very seriously. With every department that I worked in, I have a great track record, and something of this nature is pretty much embarrassing, and it kind of deflects my character, and it kind of makes me feel a certain way. I would not let my badge go down the drain for something that I know I did not do.
Any questions?
Commissioner Wright, Mr. Smith, it says in here that you did I'm trying to find it here. You did admit to telling that, dang girl, you look good, put your hands on the car, let me search you.
Yes, that is correct. And they asked me, I was completely honest about it. I told them there was more of a joking matter when I said that. When we was talking, we were both laughing about the history and everything like that. So we were in conversation, joking where the gas station was when I said that. Of course, I wouldn't dishonor the department by doing some silly stuff like that in front of the public, because I don't think that's a good look.
It seems to me like that was probably awfully inviting for some of the things that seemed to follow. Whose idea was it to leave there and then go to another place and meet up?
Like the investigator said, I was the first one to pull out, so she asked me where I was going. I told her I was going over here to finish up some paperwork. It was coming close to the end of my shift, and she proceeded to follow me.
Do you normally do the rest of your paperwork stuff in your patrol car, or do you go to the office?
No, sir.
To do that?
With the highway patrol, you kind of pretty much do it anywhere. You don't have to necessarily do it at the office.
So when you stopped the second time, did you realize that she had followed you over? Why did you stop where you did the second time?
Why did I stop when I did this?
When y'all left the gas station, why did you pull to where you did and then stop there? Was it to work on your report?
Yes,
Was
sir.
it to
That's
wait on her to come to
No, sir.
you?
That's the place where I was doing my paperwork at. It's like right in front of Starbucks. It's closer to the interstate, so I pulled over there so I was able to answer calls or motorist assist if something happened. Also, if I may say, she told them that sexual encounters had happened in one of her stories. I had to hire an attorney. That's how I know this bit of information. Well, I told the investigator, I said, man, if you look at my body camera, from the time of leaving the gas station to being on the side of the interstate, there's no way in the world this is possible. I stayed on the side of the interstate for almost 2 hours helping the motorist assist. So it was pretty much her word against mine at that particular point.
Being that fresh out of the academy, I figure you probably would have remembered the 3 W's pretty well.
Yeah, yes, sir. I really do. And, being up on the investigation is not a good feeling. And I'm probably, I would say, 5 years into law enforcement. I'm really still just getting started, to be honest, So to go through this and just getting out of the Tennessee Highway Patrol Academy, which it was a career that I really was chasing. I just graduated this month with my bachelor's degree. So, I mean, it's a bad look on my end.
For those, the 3W being whiskey, women, and wreckers on highway patrol that get you in trouble.
Yes, sir.
There's what is your what are you doing now for career?
Now I'm not doing anything. To be honest, highway patrol is my actual love. I want to go back to it, but with this scar, I'm not for certain if they'll accept me back or not due to this circumstances. But it also shows that her story was, conflicting as well. So, not sure if they'll give me a second chance or not. But I'm just waiting to get my post back and go the next step further.
What has been your career in law enforcement? It's not just been the highway patrol?
No, sir. I worked at UT. I worked in Mason. I worked in Galloway for other agencies.
So the highway patrol was the second academy that you had been to?
Yes, sir. The first academy was Toledo.
No further questions.
Thank you, sir.
Commissioner Carter, how long have you known this young lady?
I've known her at least 2 to 3 years, if not, I believe it's more than that. When I told the investigator, I told him 2 to 3 years, but I think it was longer than that. We've been knowing each other for quite some time.
And why was she denied knowing you the night before?
Say it again, sir.
Why was she denied that you guys never met?
That I'm not certain. I think more of she was after my job due to the fact that when we stopped talking, and she found out that I was pursuing another woman, that kind of made her feel a certain way. So I felt like there was probably ammunition for her to get me back at that appointed time that she saw me. I feel like it was just a way to come at me, come after my job, come after my family and my livelihood, sir. Like I said, Shelby County investigated this, and they made calls around, and come to find out what she said she never worked or what she said she never met me. People were telling Shelby County that no, they met each other. No, he worked here. That's why the case didn't go any further.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Smith, this is Commissioner Cherry. There's just a couple things that I have trouble with, and I need to ask you about them. The first part is, I think you said something earlier about how she was coming after you and you were trying to get away from her, but you were there at the gas pumps, and then you pulled away, and you say it was over by the Starbucks?
Yes, sir.
And what was the lighting like over there?
The investigator said we were in the middle of the road. Well, it was actually a driveway. The lighting was pretty good. They had light poles probably every 3 or 4 feet, bright lighting, and there was a Starbucks over there as well.
And so it was there that you both got out of the car, and she put her hands on your car, and this little encounter this little sexual encounter happened. Is that correct?
No, sir. She did not put her hands on my car. She asked for a hug. I gave her a hug and a kiss, and then she started touching me around my lower part area, and she was start pulling her pants down, trying to persuade me to have sex with her. And I was like, no, this is not going to happen on duty.
I guess the problem I have is if you were trying to get away from her and she was pursuing you, why did you even get out of the car? Why did you even have that encounter out there in the middle of the street? That just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I have a hard time understanding that.
Yes, sir. Well, that portion didn't happen until we got over there to the Starbucks. When we were talking at the gas station, it was just normal, casual conversation. Once we got over to the Starbucks, that's when the conversation made a flip, made a turn.
I don't have anything else.
Thank you.
Commissioner Wright again. We say normal and casual were the words you just used at the gas station. Sergeant said earlier that you had leaned in and kissed and hugged her at the gas station. Is that normal and casual?
Well, it's not ethical, to be honest.
Commissioner Isbell, just in the report it says Trooper Smith admitted to kissing Miss Hall at the gas station while on duty and made arrangements to meet up the following day for sexual intercourse. Trooper Smith denied the allegation about him touching Miss Hall's genitals. However, when investigators questioned him further, Trooper Smith admitted that yes, he did, and then went back to saying he could not recall. Which one is it?
Okay. To clear that up, I did not touch her at the gas station when she leaned in it was two different hugs. It was one at the gas station and one at Starbucks, if I can clear that up. So the point of the gas station was not sexual, should I say. Off the side of the road, that was, if I'm making sense. Are you okay?
Anything else from the commission?
This is Commissioner Wright. I have one further thing. Mr. Smith, at the gas station, I was going to call the sergeant back up and ask him, maybe you can and tell me, did you lean into her vehicle or she leaned into your vehicle?
At the gas station, no, she did not lean into my vehicle. I leaned into her vehicle. And like he said, the conversation about the marijuana thing, I was saying your vehicle coming from strong marijuana. And so when I leaned to her vehicle, I did like a quick glance or whatever. She was like, no, it was her boyfriend who smokes in the car, and there was nothing further.
If there had been visual marijuana in the car, what do you think your actions would have been then?
Well, I have a good track record of making arrests for marijuana, so I don't think that due to the fact that I know somebody that they are above the law or should be, excused from the law as well. So that would have proceeded to a arrest or a misdemeanor citation, whichever one depends on the amount.
All right, the Commissioner Wright, I'll go ahead and make a motion. We'll see where it goes. There's a few things lacking, definitely, in words that you've heard before, and that's integrity, professionalism, and truthfulness. I think there's a few of those that you are lacking, and I'm going to make a motion we move this to the full commission.
We have a motion to move this on to the full commission. Is that to be heard by the full commission? Okay. So this is to move this for a hearing, formal hearing in front of the full commission. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? All All right, this will move on to a formal hearing with the full commission. Mr. Smith, post commission will be in contact to our representatives from the Department of Safety. Will be in contact.
Thank you.
All right. Matter of the Tennessee Department of Safety and William A. Matsunaga. Mr. Matsunaga requests the opportunity to present a proposal of a settlement to the Post Commission. Is Mr. Matsunaga here?
Afternoon, Commissioner. My name is Jack Bird. I'm an attorney representing Mr. Matsunaga.
Will you spell your name, sir?
B-Y-R-D, first name Jack, J-C-K. What we wanted to do was present a proposed resolution of this matter. Mr. Matsunaga was terminated in 2019, March of 2019. In March of 2022, he gained employment with the National State Community College as a certified officer. During the entire time this has been pending, he has maintained his post-certification requirements and now has gainful employment and is doing quite well there. So what we wanted to do was propose a retroactive suspension of a period of time, whatever was the commission thought was appropriate, and then let him continue with his employment and his career as he's now proven himself to be worthy of that commission.
Ms. Cooper of Legal, you have.
For the benefit of the commission, Mr. Matsunaga's, I apologize, the Department of Safety's request for decertification is pending and was supposed to be heard back in January, was continued to February, then because of an issue with a court reporter, was continued to May. The Department of Safety is fully prepared to move forward with their decertification request, and as I said, we are set for hearing in May.
Could you remind us of what the circumstances were for this?
Yes, sir. So Mr. Matsunaga had been employed with the Department of Safety since, I want to say 2008, on or around February 29th, or February 24th, 2019. The Department of Safety conducted an investigation into the sale of THP-issued ammunition by the respondent, advertised for sale on a firearms marketplace website. The advertisement indicated that the ammunition was top-quality ammunition that Spear markets to law enforcement agencies. On February 27, 2019, a controlled buy was conducted, and respondent did complete the sale of the advertised ammunition. During the investigation of the alleged violation, respondent was interviewed, did not deny the sale, but could not explain why the ammunition sold had the same lot numbers associated with ammunition issued to members by the THP. Respondent had several prior incidents of misconduct while employed with THP, and so on April 1st of 2019, respondent's employment with the THP for all of those reasons was terminated for disciplinary reasons. The THP then submitted a request for decertification.
I may address some of that.
Go ahead.
While he couldn't say why the lot number matched, it was an open box of ammunition. It was not a sealed box of ammunition. There was testimony at his hearing from the armorer for the THP that they just hand out the boxes. And as anyone that goes to a range and has a history with firearms, you know, if you have a personal supply of ammunition, you've got one box that's got 20 rounds in it and another box that's got 10, another box that's got 5. You're going to fill up one of those boxes and get rid of the empty ones. It was advertised. He never denied anything about it. He could just not say, I don't know why this box matches it. And never denied a single thing, went through it. There were charges brought against him. Those charges were dismissed by the state with prejudice and were not as a result of a plea agreement. any type of 403513 agreement. They were directly dismissed by the state. And we are requesting that his post-commission stay with him, let him continue his career.
Well, just maybe the legal director, I mean, is there any reason for us to take any action today on this if it's already set for a hearing in May? We just move forward with our hearing in May?
For the commission, I am not recommending a settlement. I'm not saying you shouldn't do a settlement. The ultimate decider of that is the commission. You have the power to do whatever you want to do with this matter. The respondent asked for an opportunity to address you. I asked for it to be put on the agenda. So if whatever action you want to take or don't want to take, again, is completely up to the members of the commission. But we are prepared to go forward with a hearing on May 19th.
Would the appropriate, in this particular case, the appropriate course of action be for Mr. Matsunaga and his counsel to coordinate with our legal to work on a settlement that can then be brought in front of the commission?
That is typically what would happen. We do not have an informal in April, so this would be the last opportunity for the respondent to address the commission. As I explained to Mr. Byrd, I'm not offering a settlement. He has asked, his client have asked that they could, again, address you all to see if a settlement would be possible along those terms for a retroactive suspension. I, again, asked for it to be added to the agenda to give them that opportunity.
Commissioner Wright, I believe this does need to be heard by the full commotion, and with that, I'm going to make a motion to deny the proposal.
Second.
We have a motion to disapprove by Commissioner Wright and a second by Commissioner Isbell. Do we have any further discussion? All in favor of the motion to disapprove, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, this will be set for the May date, correct?
It'll go forward on May 19th.
Okay,
Yes,
go
sir.
forward on May 19th.
Thank you.
All right, that leaves us with the Laverne Police Department and Henry T. McGowan. Is Mr. McGowan here? Mr. Bello, he's been in touch with you today. Is that the case, or one of our investigators?
I have received a message from his attorney that had asked if the hearing was today. I said yes, and it appears that he forgot, because I have the communication that he was notified that the hearing was on today's date, and then I received a text message from staff at the academy that Mr. McGowan had shown up there and was heading this way, and that was approximately 45 minutes ago, 50 minutes ago.
And this notification was made in advance to his attorney, correct?
That's correct.
Notification with the proper location for today's hearing.
That is correct.
We have somebody from Laverne Police Department here.
We do. Chief, if you would step up and identify yourself.
Interim Chief Brent Hatcher, last name Hatcher.
Go ahead, sir. If you would just explain why Laverne Police Department is seeking this decertification.
December 12th, 2022, information was provided to the Human Resource Director through the Mayor of the City of Laverne regarding one of our officers having intimate relationships with other members of the agency. In the process of this, several names were brought up to include former Detective Sergeant McGowan. During the course of the investigation, HR Patton and the former Chief Davis conducted interviews, and upon the conclusion of that, they recommended termination of employment based on sections 34, 92, 93, 97, 98 of the City Employee Handbook regarding workplace violence, sexual harassment, conduct unbecoming an officer, lying during the course of the investigation, as well as General Order 300.01, rules and regulations for obedience to rules and regulations, conduct, and truthfulness. And that is why I'm here.
Any questions from the commission? Thank you very much, Chief. Anybody like to make a motion or discuss further?
I feel like there's been plenty of time to have gotten a hold of us, and maybe if they'll get 30 days to appeal, but I'll make a motion for a default motion for decertification based on termination for violation of departmental policies and procedures.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for default order for termination for violation of department policy and procedures. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. That concludes our business today for the informal committee for the Post Commission. We're adjourned.